Sorry, we haven't had a chance to go and look at it. We're busy painting.
What?
What you suggested me taking a peek
Oh, yeah, so we'll talk about this in the open.
at. Oh, you are gonna, I kind of seen that. I thought you changed your mind.
Well, no, we're not going to information that the article. Just to be different piece of information.
That you want. Okay. Okay.
It's 9 o'clock, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 13th Catalina County Board of Commissioners meeting. A little housekeeping: if you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off, and if you do get a call that you need to respond to, please go out into the rotunda area and talk so that you don't disturb the meeting. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hatton, a second by Commissioner Van Duzen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action to approve the minutes of the June 6th meeting. I have a motion by Commissioner Hatton. Second by Commissioner Gable. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We'll go on to the monthly reports right away. The first one is the auditor. So Cindy, what we got going?
We are just getting prepared for the election that is a week from today. We'll have an election school in this office on Friday for the superintendents in the rural area. And we are also working on budgets for 2018. Everybody has turned in their provisional budget request, and we'll be putting together the 3-ring binders for this board. And people will start reviewing those, their budget requests with you during their monthly report. That's about it.
Good. Any questions? Any questions for Cindy? All right, Director Equalization.
Mr. Chairman, I just thought it would be a good time to remind folks that if they want to do early voting, it's at City Hall.
City Hall from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. through Monday.
And then on the website, on the county website, and probably somewhere as well on the city website and the paper also, they published all the polling places for Election Day as well.
All right. Good morning, Shauna.
Good morning.
Morning, Shauna.
Okay, so the appraisers have been out doing the small towns this year. We have Wallace done. We're about halfway done with Florence. And then we are going to be starting on Henry. And then the office staff has their November through April sales in. They were due the 1st of June. They got them in about a week before that. So now we're just starting to work on our summer projects in the office, and the appraisers are out in the small towns. That's about all I got.
How did it go in the small towns? Because it's been a number of years since you've appraised those. Any surprises?
There's always surprises. The appraisers have done their part, but I haven't had a chance to really look at much. They've been out there and they've done them, but I'll be starting like the sales ratio and see, then I'll get to look at the cards and see if houses have grown. There's a lot of, it sounds like there's a lot of houses that are, deteriorated a lot and stuff in the small towns, so we'll see. But then there's some surprises, the very nice ones that we didn't know about, so.
Any other questions, comments for Shauna?
Did we end up with any appeals that will go to state?
Yes, we, the one appellant, Austin Family Trust, there's 3 that showed up at boards, and the one that the board didn't lower, he appealed to OHE, but we went out to the house, did the walkthrough because I have to do an appraisal on it, and he only has like 2 baseboard heaters for the whole main floor. And so we basically lowered his value about $11,000. The price would be to put in a furnace through the whole house. Otherwise, they still have to winterize it and everything. So instead of changing it to a cabin, which drops the value about $50,000, we gave him basically a functional obsolescence on the heating. He was okay with it, so we stipulated with that, but he's more concerned with his lot value and didn't really understand that I was taking value off his house and not his land. And
Was that the house that was on Compeska?
yep, the
Okay.
lake house on Compeska, yep.
All right.
Anything else? All right, let's go to number 4 right away, and that's action to approve updated database coordinator job description, and wage scale is in your packet, and that is for Shauna's office, correct?
Yes.
And this is at her request?
Yep, basically we went through and added all the appraiser responsibilities onto the database coordinator job description.
I would make a motion that we accept this updated job description, database coordinator.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, could you talk up, Commissioner Hatton? What did you say? Repeat what you said, please, would you?
Said I would make a motion that we accept this updated database coordinator job description.
Okay, that's a motion. A motion by Commissioner Hatton, a second by Gable.
I said, yeah.
And the wage scale, do you need that separate or can be all in one?
It can be one motion if you want to
Add that
update
on
the
there.
database coordinator job description and wage scale
Yep.
will be assigned to the same wage scale as the deputy equalization position. Yeah,
Sounds good to me, add that on there.
that can be one motion.
Is it all right with both of you?
Yep.
All right? Any more discussion?
Just, Mr. Chairman, so this is an updated job description. So the person, you have this person working already, or is this somebody?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when we had talked about it, we basically had her have an appraiser job description. We called her an appraiser and database coordinator, but then Cindy told us that we really couldn't have two, so we basically added all of the appraiser job duties onto this, so that she has one title.
That's the one we had talked about just a few
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Does this go into effect immediately, or is this going to affect with the start of the new budget?
It goes into effect as of her yearly wage scale raise, which is June 15th. And it is in the budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Chair, if I can, Mr. Satterley, do you have anything to add on this, or anything that you'd like to say on this? Or
No, just that Sean and I have discussed it, and Dr. Reese will bring it to you, so that the board would have.
For those that are watching on our live stream, which, by the way, this is being live streamed. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Mr. Satterley is our HR person, and so we like to concur with him whenever we have a change in an individual or one of our employees' status. So thank you, Terry, appreciate that. Any other discussion? Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Shauna.
Thanks, Shauna.
yeah, that's right.
Highway Department, looks like you got just about the rest of the agenda here.
Troy, you're the liaison, so I'll have to have you sign this updated job description
Okay.
today.
Okay. There you go, Rick.
Good morning.
Morning, Rick.
Cindy, how many do we?
4 bids.
4 bids.
Yep.
The first item is opening bids for the Highway Department office roofing project and action to award successful bidder. And we shall do that right now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Here. Oh, you got that open?
First bid is by Weather Guard Incorporated of Watertown, South Dakota. There's a teller's check in the amount of $9,500. And the bid amount, $87,250. They have an alternate bid for a 60 mil membrane. I had a 90 mil thick membrane in the bid, and they give an alternate bid for a 60 mil at $80,580. I got my hands kind of busy here. That's fine. The next bid is A&R Roofing.
What was that again?
A&R
A&R.
Roofing out of West Fargo. Their bid bond is in place. Everything looks fine on the bid bond. Their bid is $114,410.
Did they indicate what mill that was or anything?
No, it was spec'd at 90.
Okay, all right.
Didn't put anything.
Right.
If it was anything different, they were supposed to have it on the bottom of the sheet, and then I assume they would. They bidding 90 mil. The third one is from ProTech Roofing. Bid bond and 20% of the amount bid is in place. There is $95,880. And they also have a $60 mil membrane bid also at $80,780. And the final bid is from Hub City Roofing of Aberdeen. Bid bond and 20% of the amount bid. Their bid is $117,243. And they also have an alternate bid for the 60 mil membrane of $105,968. I guess there really wasn't any questions on the way the bids were submitted that I really need to look at.
Questions on the 60 mil to the 90 mil?
I spec it as 90. I understand that 60 mil is a common one.
That's, I guess 60 mil, I've been doing this 35 years. I've never installed a 90 mil. Everything's always been a 60 mil, all the school projects.
And like I said, it was
It's available, it's just a special order for me. But
it was spec, but 90 mil is just heavier duty. And with it being spec at 90, the only way that we could accept a 60 mil was have another bid in it. I'm recommending to accept the bid for the 90 mil from WeatherGuard at $87,250.
You heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion.
We have a motion by
Second.
Commissioner Waterman,
I'll second that.
and a second by Commissioner Gable. Any more discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Commissioner Gable? I see you hit your button.
Just want to make sure everybody understands this is a budgeted item, and when would work start on this?
I guess it's up to Kelly. There's no specified starting date on it. And it is money, I have money in the budget, but it wasn't a budgeted item. The roof just started leaking. We have to, emergency type repair.
We need it today, right?
Well, yeah, it was dripping pretty good today.
You got buckets sitting around?
Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. WeatherGuard has the bid. All right, let's go on to number 6. Action to authorize the chair to sign the ROW certificate and utility certificate for upcoming bridge repair and projects. And I don't have that in the packet. You have that?
I've got them here.
All right.
I guess I didn't send copies. But there is no utility work to be done, and there is no right to be acquired. It's just a formality to do these spend these big grant dollars. You have to file a utility certificate and a right-of-way certificate.
Is this for our bridge?
Right.
Okay, bridge project, okay.
Bridge decks,
Yep.
epoxy deck seals.
Okay.
I'll entertain a
I'll
motion.
make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the
make that
right-of-way
motion.
certificates.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hatton and a second by Commissioner Waterman. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 7 on the agenda is action to authorize the public notice for proposed changes to the Cottington County highway system. And Rick, that's you again.
Cindy, I did send you a copy of the public notice.
Yep.
Basically, I'll point out on the map in a couple minutes here, there's a bunch of little sections of road that for some reason were eliminated from the county highway system. There's some stuff the city of Watertown has annexed property, which puts the road in under their jurisdiction and so forth. It's basically just cleaning up a lot of little errors and stuff that we've seen. Larry Dean of the state DOT and I have sat down and went through it and came across, well, there's 12 items up there that need to be cleared up just to get the system where it should be as far as formalities.
Rick, can I have you take that mic up? I'm sorry.
Yep, no
Just so
problem.
our YouTube viewers can hear what you're saying.
Now, the number one piece down here is eliminating, when the interstate was built, prior to the interstate, this was a county road. When the interstate was built, it cut that off, so that road was turned back to the township, and Cottington County assumed responsibility for this east-west road going over to County Road 5 over here. And that, for some reason, that was just never taken care of formally. Another section, number 2, is to delete from our system. This is just on the west side of the Ram Cota. There's a half-mile stretch that goes up to 4th Avenue. It's within the city, but it just never formally was, adopted into the county system. Number 3 is 7th Street, which is just east of the river, below St. Anne's Hill. It's that goes by those townhouses and stuff. That has, for some reason, shows up in the county system, and it shouldn't be. And the next one to it, 10th Street, which goes by the county shop, is not in our system. And I don't know if it was just a clerical error. Number 4 up here, it's on 14th Avenue, and that goes from 2nd Street just west as far as the curb and gutter goes. That's within the city, and that, I guess, that's what should be deleted from our road system, seeing that it isn't within the city. Here's another one out here, and this is due to annexation. This is out on Golf Course Road. There's a half-mile stretch there where the homes built on the golf course out there are annexed into the city. So that's getting turned back over to the, getting turned back to the city. This piece of road here is going through Hidden Valley and then down to the prop and then over to the golf course over here. That's basically within the city. It's just cleaning that up. Also, I tried to give them this part of 4th Avenue down here, but they didn't want that. And there's one more in Florence. The main street in Florence is a county road, and I don't know how it happened, but at one point it got taken off the county primary road system. When we did that community access grant, where we paved the streets and everything up there, it was on the system then. But somehow between when we did that and now it's not on there, so we need to add that back in. But those are the proposals, and
Rick, just a quick question for you. On 14th Avenue there, you said from 2nd Street west, I would assume.
correct.
Does that go all the way over to Highway 20 then, or
No,
where does that stop?
it's just down as far as where the curb and gutter goes. If you're familiar with
Okay.
that street? When
Yep.
where the curb and gutter stops, then the county road starts.
Okay.
And that's, for some reason, that little stretch with the curb and gutter that the city annexed years ago stayed on the city.
So that's going to be in the area of the church probably
Right,
over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how does this work with the city? Like, if we do this, what's the process? They just automatically...
I sat down, Larry Dean and myself and Shane Waterman sat down and went over the stuff that the city is within the city, and they're aware that it's within the city. Shane and I met with him. It's been a year ago, over a year ago, that we met on this. It just takes time.
Right. Yeah.
But the procedure is, with this public notice, it'll be published this Thursday and Saturday. And then 10 days after that, the 27th, I'll be in with a resolution for the commission to sign approving these changes. And then it goes to the DOT, and it has to sit there for 30 days before they act on it.
This is just informational.
I would
Right.
make a motion to authorize Rick to put this public notice in the paper.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hatton, a second by Waterman. Or Gable?
No, I made a
Gable?
second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, so as far as the timelines for public notice, and would this be passed as, it's not an ordinance, it's a resolution?
Right, it's a
Oh,
resolution
okay.
for omissions or deletions, additions to the primary highway system, county system.
Okay, so, and that meets all the public notice requirements and all that? Okay, yeah.
So all we're doing now is just authorizing a public notice.
Right, yeah. And giving
To
the public
publish it.
time to comment on it.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. All right, thank you, Rick. I think you're done now.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. All right, number eight, I'll just take discussion possible action to implement a county-wide burn ban. Well, the good Lord helped us out on that one. So As in many times past, the good Lord comes in and waters our crops for us, and we're forever grateful for that. I did have a good conversation Friday afternoon with Jim Sutton, our emergency management director. He had contacted the local fire departments in the county, the fire chiefs, and everyone had responded at that particular time except Watertown, and they responded later. The consensus was if it didn't rain between Friday afternoon when we were in conference and today, we would put the fire band on. But as you see, we have sufficient rain. Wonderful. The only thing that I would say is that in South Dakota, there's only a few days between a flood and a drought. And so be certain if you're in the rural area, if you're going to burn, be considerate of your neighbors. Make certain that you let the dispatch know that you're going to burn. And here's a point that someone brought up to me the other day that I think that we have kind of forgot about, is that the city of Watertown has jurisdiction within a mile of the city limits. And this individual is in that particular area. And they called dispatch and said they were burning, but they hadn't, somehow the local fire department or the city, I don't know if it was the city police or somebody, pulled into his yard and asked him what he was doing, and he said he was burning because, he thought he just needed to contact the dispatch, which should have been the city and everybody. But he mentioned at that time that even if you live within that mile, you still need to call dispatch and make sure that you're clear. The other thing, that being an old farmer myself, that's OLE, by the way, not OLD, OLE. If your discs or your field cultivator or your tillage tool is parked in the way back of the shed and you're parking other machinery in front of it, please pull that tillage tool out of the shed and park it in the shade and have it ready to be hooked up to a tractor, or even hook the tractor up to it, because we all know you can have all the fire departments in the world, but really when these prairie fires or these fires get going out in the country, the best fire deterrent is a big four-wheel drive tractor with a big disc or a field cultivator. They could do the best job. So Chip from our local fire department was in this morning, and I visited with him, and he offered these thoughts also. So there we go. We got rid of that. Took longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be a yes and no deal, but we're good. Number 9, action to approve auditor's account with the treasurer and don't register deeds monthly fees. Cindy?
I put in your packets the report of cash and cash items on hand as of the last day of May 2017. Shows you the amount of money we took in that last day of the month. It shows you where our general ledger cash balances are. It shows you what we need to pay out to the schools, the cities, the towns, and townships. And then we also have the Register of Deeds fees for the month of May, which were $30,619.50.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Hatton, second by Van Dusen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 10, any claims for payment?
I laid a claims list on everybody's desk this morning. This is our normal bill paying day. There's a few that I did highlight. Not very many. On page 3, they're in about the middle of the page in the government buildings budget. There is a $15,029.70 bill for ESE Independent Incorporated, and that is for the door system that's being put in with the fobs, the electronic. And we had an email from Milo that tomorrow everybody will turn in their old keys for the offices that have the new electronic system put on. I think there's one on your door right there, so I don't know if any of you have a key to that door. It'll also include keys to the outside entrances. Those will all be turned in, and then everybody will be issued a fob to open the front and back doors, along with first floor, which is this floor. All the office doors will have the new system. There are several on the ground floor that also received it. Anyway, that's an out of the ordinary claim this month. On, let's see, page 8, in the Memorial Park budget, there was an $18,500 bill to Ingolstadt Electric. That was for upgrading electrical on some of the camping pads. There was also a $10,446.47 claim to RJC Construction to re-roof one of the picnic shelters. I believe that's the one where they put on the metal roof instead. And I think that is all that was out of the ordinary. So we had a total of $985,593.25 in claims. Of that amount, $525,393.98 is passed through to the state of South Dakota, and the rest were county claims.
Move to approve those claims.
Motion by Commissioner Hatton, second by
Second. I'll second.
Gable. Any discussion? Boy, that just shoots the heck out of $1 million, doesn't it? 985,000, that's a...
Yeah, except that
That's not
the major portion of that is not ours. It goes.
Yeah.
It's for motor vehicle collection, which we will get some back from the state of South Dakota eventually.
Any more discussion? Any comments, thoughts? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 11, action to authorize the chair to sign a lease agreement for the storage building that we've been discussing for some time, and we actually give them the go-ahead to start on it.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Van Duzen, second by Hatton, and you have it in your packet. And that being said, I will sign it. And
This will
I
move.
did have an opportunity this weekend to drive out there, and there's been some dirt work done there already.
It's done.
And it's all staked out, and looks like it's going to be a nice addition to that back lot back there. So.
And now this will be put on the city council for Monday night for them to approve as well.
Yes.
All right. Okay, any more discussion? Anything else? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 12, action to approve any automatic budget supplements.
Nothing for number 12 today.
And 13, action to approve personnel changes.
One personnel change, Marcy Rosso is a cook in the detention center. She's due her anniversary step increase from step 7 to step 8, $17.75 per hour.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion
Second.
by Van Duzen, a second by Waterman. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Travel requests, we got a couple of those.
2 travel requests. The first one is from the weed department, from the weed supervisor, request authorization to attend a yellow toad flax biocontrol tour in Leola, South Dakota. The second one is for the director of equalization office staff to attend a sales ratio workshop in Brookings.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make that motion.
Motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Any old business? Any old business this morning?
Mr. Chairman, just, you remember I attended a conference in Orlando for the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative that was covered by the Annie Casey Foundation. But one of the reasons the Unified Judicial System paid for travel, for my travel, for the travel of Judge Means and a few other people from around the state on juvenile detention. The next step in that is for the JDAI coordinator, which is a statewide position. They happen to be based here in Watertown, to begin providing training on that. And so we discussed it with Judge Means, the sheriff, and the coordinator. Her name is Angie Collingman. That we would look at late July, perhaps as a first date. And if you remember, the mental health working group that we have. It'd be kind of a similar cross-section of the community, the county, city, judicial system, and but adding in probably the school system as well to bring together and start talking about juvenile detention. And so that's not, at no cost to the county. That's paid for by UJS. But so just so everybody knows, we're going to kind of be the host of that. We'll have to find a venue, and I'll start coordinating that. Probably see something in your email looking at about July 25th for the date of that initial training. So just so everybody knows.
Commissioner Gable and I attended a meeting on Friday afternoon, and I'm sure you remember here a couple weeks ago we authorized some transportation or travel for a lady from Iowa to come up and present. And Commissioner Gable, you wish to expound on that? We did have pretty good attendance.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was concerning the Stepping Up initiative, and as a person from Johnson County, Iowa, they've had some just describing some of the different things that they're doing with mental health, and it sounds like they have similar struggles to what we have in tracking the data, because we may be ahead of the game on tracking the data. Some of the things that the case management things that they do are a little different. So it was a good discussion, I thought, and it was worth doing.
I think what was good is we had all the entities involved there.
Yeah.
And so we had everyone at the table, and so we all kind of get back on the same page, make certain that we identify what our mission or what our goals are, and that's good. Any new business? Well, was there any other old business? No other old business? Let's go to new business then. Commissioner Gable, did you have anything for new business?
No. Oh, I had something for the open when we get to that.
New business. I sent everybody an email that the governor has declared the state offices closed on Monday, July 3rd. Per our previously adopted policy, the county follows what the state does. Does anybody have any questions? Or
We also need to decide when we're going to have our meeting, correct?
yeah,
If we're going to do it on that
if you're going to do
Wednesday.
it that week.
4th is on a Tuesday.
So do we
do
need
it
to
this-
decide if
Or
we
it's
can
not on
put
the
that in?
agenda, so
Maybe
No,
put
it's
that-
not on the agenda. We did talk about it last week.
We should probably put it on the agenda for next week, which we're meeting on Wednesday instead of Tuesday next week.
Correct,
too.
yes.
Sounds good to me. All right, let's go to the open. I know Commissioner Gable has something. Before I forget, you notice on your desk there's an invitation for the drug court graduation, and that's this Friday, June 16th, and it's at 1 o'clock. It just says our newest graduates, and I don't know how many there are, but if you've not and have never attended one of those, it would be good. It's interesting to hear what they have gone through and the steps that they've taken to correct their issues. So that's on Friday. Commissioner Gable, I know you have something.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to hit on a couple of the, let's see if I can get it to come up on the screen here. A couple of the recent FAQs that we get. I think we've hit on a lot of them over the time, but there's always a few other ones. And one question, so I just wanted to address and people, but this is concerning the county's bond issue, the ballot measure that's on the ballot that people are voting on in early voting right now, but election day is Tuesday, so a week from today, June 20th. And as people know, that there's a ballot measure on there asking voters to approve a bond amount of $18,875,000 for the construction of or remodeling of court and county jail and county law enforcement facilities, and that's for a general obligation bond. And so one of the questions we've gotten a few times, not super often, is kind of making sure that that bond amount or the project amount includes everything that's needed for the project. So questions like contingency, to account for inflation or high bids. Things like earthwork to deal with the draining and site preparation, things like all the others, the admin costs, architecture, engineering, furnishings, equipping. And so the answer is basically yes, it includes all that. So you can see the on the screen there's a table, and this is based off the architect's table with a couple additions for some of the bonding fees that will come in, and you can see that puts that project amount at right about $24,300,000. And then, as we've talked about before, we're applying some money from our Future Building Projects Fund, which has accumulated, thanks to commissioners before our time who started saving that, over $5 million. And so that's how we get to that bond amount of $18,875,000. So that's one question we get from time to time. And then one thing I want to hit on as we're talking about that is operational costs. And I think this is one of the reasons that I think most of us commissioners have heard that we want the facility to stay downtown, to keep activity downtown. But one of the other nice things about that, speaking from a county official perspective, is that that's going to save some money. So the proximity between the courthouse and a future jail being across the street on what is now the northern part of the auditorium block would save, obviously, transportation costs for the county, especially for county law enforcement, but also for judicial, for UJS, and for the state's attorney, as they need to go back and forth. And if the buildings are next to each other, obviously that saves some money. Perhaps a bigger consideration, though, is for the city of Watertown. For the police department is the one that brings in most of the arrestees into the jail. So it makes a lot more sense or it's a lot less expensive, and I hope you can back me up, Troy, on this one, but that if you're bringing somebody you arrest to a central location that's in the town where you're working, it's a lot cheaper than going to the west of town to bring somebody that's arrested. So I think that's going to be a savings for the city of Watertown as well. And then that sometimes questions arise. So yes, we do have to pay for the land. And by the way, that's also incorporated in the project cost, the cost of land acquisition for the new jail. But that savings, or the savings in transportation costs, I think would offset, definitely within a few years, the cost of land acquisition. So I wanted to hit on operational costs. We don't get that question as often, but I did want to hit on it. Secondly, parking. From time to time, we do get questions about parking, and this is a diagram that First District did a few years ago, and it's an overhead shot of downtown Watertown. You can see all the red spaces, or the kind of the orangey pink spots, are the parking areas. The ones with black numbers on them are public parking lots. And then you can't see it very well on the slide from here, but all the diagonal parking has a dark red or kind of purpley number on those, on each block in the street. And and when you total all those up, so that's the diagonal parking and the public parking lots. So the black numbers and the red numbers basically on this thing. And if you total all that up, you come up with over 1,400 parking spaces downtown. So that's diagonals and public parking spots. Now, if we put up a new jail, that's probably going to take away, I put on this chart that it would take away 59 spaces. It may take up, maybe 60 some, potentially. That's an estimate. But either way, you still end up with over 1,300 parking spots downtown. So realize that not all of those are right next to the courthouse and the future jail or the auditorium, but downtown has quite a bit of parking. I think the city's done a very good job of identifying places to put public lots and diagonal parking spaces. And then there are a few numbers in blue on there. Those aren't there. If somebody looks at this map later, those are not included in those totals. So even with the new jail, bottom line there'd still be over 1,300 parking spaces. So we get that question from time to time on parking. A couple things to note about parking. So you got to remember that on that block, this is a cool photo I found online. On that block, next to the auditorium, there were buildings there, not parking. So this is a photo from the 70s, and I'm not sure when the theater that's in that view, in the kind of the center of that picture, went away, but the Elks, I think, went away in what, 2002? And behind that, there was also another apartment building. So there was very little parking on that block previously. So I'd ask people to keep that in mind. And then one of the things in the current plan, as we've worked with the city, so the city and the county came to an agreement where we would still preserve somewhere between 50 and 70 parking spots directly north of the auditorium building. And most of the time that's going to be adequate. I think most of the time when we observe that parking lot, we see that it's probably a little less than half full. Once in a while, it looks like there might be some abandoned vehicles on there. So this is probably not building the church for Easter, but it is going to cover the needs most of the time. And then keep in mind that the city's planning to add 2 blocks of diagonal parking on First Avenue as well. So there are some concerns about parking in the immediate area. I think there probably doesn't need to be a whole lot of concern about the downtown overall, but these are the steps that the city and the county are taking to do that. One other note is that the law enforcement parking for the jail, for the future sheriff's office, if voters approve, is included in that footprint of the jail building, so at least within what would be the new property lane for that building. Okay, and then what's nice about this is that it fits really well within the city ordinance for zoning downtown. Now, as people probably know, that if you have a downtown development of some sort, according to the city zoning ordinance, that land is exempt from having to add off-street parking spaces, and that's in the city ordinance. That's called Zone C1, Commercial 1, and you can see the pink area on that. That's just a screenshot from the GIS site that First District maintains, and you can see that both the courthouse block and the auditorium block are both within C1, so therefore they're exempt from having to worry about off-street parking within the city zoning rules. And so it would be an issue. It's going to be an issue of a conditional use permit, not an issue of a variance or a waiver because there are no rules to waive for off-street parking. And so you can see there's a screenshot from the city's website of the part that covers off-street parking, and then right at the bottom there it says C1 district shall be exempt from all off-street parking requirements. And so but given the city's concerns, we already have had that discussion. That's how we came to the agreement of what part of the auditorium block the county would purchase from the city in order to preserve parking that makes the city feel comfortable for the auditorium building, as well as help the county meet its needs for floor space or ground space for a new jail building. So I think that's all I got. But I just wanted to hit on those 2 pretty frequently asked questions for folks. Thank you.
I think there's still some people out there that have assumptions and maybe try to speak those assumptions, but these are facts. These are things that have been worked on by Commissioner Gable, and I hope that the press picks up on this and understands that that's what this commission does. It deals with scientific research, facts, and we stay within the law. That's how we operate. Commissioner Waterman, you look like you wanted to say something.
I did, and due to my hearing or due to my whatever, there's a weed board meeting tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. There's a weed board meeting tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Weed supervisor might not be there promptly on time because of the travel thing. And it's at the Extension Service
At 8
Extension
o'clock.
Building, 8 o'clock.
Okay, all right. Anything else for the open?
Tomorrow morning is government affairs. Then also there could be a quorum of commissioners at the drug court, as you mentioned. City council meeting, possibly a quorum of commissioners. We do have planning and zoning Monday night. Other than that, I don't have any other events that I can see that would be a possibility.
In reference to planning and zoning, I think everybody has in their packet the letter that was sent out by Luke, and that's in reference to, this will be our first application that we'll look at for a wind farm in Cudahy County, so that'll be interesting, so be sure.
Well, and actually, this notification was sent to the board because we're adjacent property owners.
We are adjacent property owners.
I guess that's why this was sent out. I'm sure you all knew about the zoning meeting itself, but
So-
they are required by law to send out certified letters
Yeah.
to all the adjacent property owners, so we got one.
And they always do, so this is proof.
Yep. So there's our
Now-
notice.
Now, I'm going to ask, and if anyone, this is my territory in that neck of the woods, where does Cottington County have adjacent property? Would it be the county shed?
In
No?
South Shore?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
That would be my district.
That's the only thing I can,
I don't know. Well, we'll find out.
yeah.
But now,
Okay, you're within or adjacent to the proposed project area.
well, anyway, there we
Okay.
go. Good. Anything else for the open?
Mr. Chair, just one quick thing. Of course, we had some wind damage in Watertown, my district, District 4. Suffered some of that too. But was there any additional damage reported in the county? Any other districts?
By the way, I did have an opportunity, and this is good for the open too. I did have a chance to sit down, or not sit down, I had a telephone conversation, but I stopped at the FSA office here in town in lieu of the drought situation and keeping a drought monitor and letting them know that we as a commission, in years past, we used to be more involved in signing off on drought proposals and those types of things. They've streamlined that in the last 2-3 years now. I know, and Stan Lamb has retired. So there's not a new FSA director. It's Mr. Lee comes up from Clear Lake, from Dual County, a couple of times a week, and so I had a good conversation with him. And that was his question also, was there any wind damage in the county? And I had driven around, I had not noted any. I looked at crops, and I had not noted any damage in the crops due to the wind. But I did get a report that the Memorial Park was a mess, that there was a lot of downed trees and a lot of debris out there. And I don't know, I haven't talked to Milo. I figured they're busy out cleaning that up, I would guess. But the park was full. I happened to be out there on Saturday afternoon just to see what kind of activity we had. City Park was full. I think the State Park at Pelican was full, and Memorial Park was full. So we've got a lot of campers in the community, which is wonderful. That's what we want. But we also had a lot of activities. We had softball tournaments, the rodeo, and the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But to my knowledge, I don't think we had any damage. But I've made the contact with FSA, and so we both have our hot numbers in case anything comes up that we need to take care of. We don't want to miss the boat. If there's anything that we need to do, we're there to help on the county level. Thank you for that reminder, though.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The only thing that, and it's not wind damage, it's rain damage. We had some washing on some
Yeah.
gravel roads due to the fact that we had 5 inches in some areas, 3 inches in another area in a matter of a couple hours. Yeah, but
What a wonderful rain. It was a beautiful rain, and I know Chuck Wagner and Magauer said it was not $1 million rain, it was $1 billion rain, and so I'm sure that was it. And I think maybe you're going to start seeing the lake level come up. So maybe you'll be able to get those boats in this year and get the recreational use on the lakes in the area. So that's wonderful too.
Can
Anything
flush
else?
our river out as well, which would be
Yeah,
nice.
flush the river out. Yeah, flush that baby out. And there is, I noticed, living north of town, my creek was running this morning, and that heads right for Lake Kempesca, so you're going to get some water. Anything else for the open? Anything else, any executive session needed by anyone?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion by Hatton to adjourn. Is there a second by Van Dusen?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned until Wednesday, June 21, and that's the day after the election. Get out and vote, people. Get out and vote.
Anybody have an idea, or Cindy, do you know how many percentage of people might have voted?